Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome everyone, I'm Jane McCarthy. It is already one of our snowiest Februaries on record and more snow on the way.
Most of our region either under a winter weather advisory or a winter storm warning. Tom Sherry in the Weather Center tonight. How much snow are we talking, Tom?
Well, I think we're going to get less than what we were talking about yesterday in Spokane and to the west of us, but still we are going to get snow, and you should have to do some shoveling if you don't want 1 to 3 inches in your front yard and on your lawn. Or not on your lawn, you know what I mean, on your driveway. They could stay on the lawn. I'm not shoveling that. We have a winter weather advisory in effect everywhere you see shaded in yellow. That includes the Spokane area. We could see 2 to 5 inches of snow in those areas. I think 1 to 3 about in the Spokane area. Winter storm warning in effect until tomorrow afternoon. All those areas shaded in pink. Yeah, that includes Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene and through Shoshone County. And then also down into the Camas Prairie of Idaho and the Washington Palouse. That's going to be the hardest hit areas where we'll see the most amount of snowfall. Colfax, Pullman, watch out. It's all headed your way. This is what I mean. Between 4 and 8 inches in the Moscow and Pullman area. Colfax 2 could see 2 to 4 inches in Wallace and Coeur d'Alene, 1 to 3 up around Sandpoint, 1 to 2 inches in Colville, and areas that were harder hit with the previous storms, talking about Grand Coulee, Chelan, and especially Wenatchee and Leavenworth, you should get under an inch of snow in those areas. So we'll have to see how this verifies for you. Still seeing a lot of snow, though, in the Cascades. Be aware of that. Snow beginning to thicken up across areas of eastern Washington. Here's the latest look. So snow just to the west of us. So it should be here by about 5:30. So hopefully your commute only takes you maybe 10, 15 minutes to get home. But letting you know if the kids are getting out of school or after school sports around 6, they'll be driving on possibly some snowy roads. And certainly up to the north of us, so we're seeing that already sticking. 19 degrees is the expected overnight low, so it's another cold one. 32 the expected high tomorrow, again with lingering snow at time in Spokane, but continuing to snow to the south and to the east of us. To see how the road conditions look right now, we go to Thomas Patrick out in the mobile storm tracker. Thomas.
Hey Tom, yeah, we actually headed south to try to find some of that snow, and we certainly did. We just rounded through Rosalia just a moment ago, and we just jumped back on 195 heading northbound back towards Spokane. A little hard to see in the camera out the windshield, but it is a very fine snow, but it is a lot heavier than what it was back in Spokane about 30 to 60 minutes ago. But it is just heavy enough that you notice on the shoulders of the road, you're seeing that light accumulation just beginning. Now, as cars like ourselves try to drive along these highways, it does push some of that very light powdery snow out of the way at first, as you see kind of coming off of the tires in the oncoming traffic here. But with that happening, that means we're going to start to see those accumulations pick up in the next few hours, and it will start on areas that see less traffic overall, so it won't hit perhaps 195 or I-90 quite as heavily. But with that snow now falling, it is going to pick up pretty shortly here. By the way, you'll also notice that it is really bright out here. It's hard to tell just where the landscape and the sky meets, but that's only going to get worse if we have more snow falling more heavily, reducing those visibilities overall. So try to keep it easy out there as that snow just starts to accumulate as of the evening commute hours. Reporting live from the mobile storm tracker, I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Back to you.
Thomas, thank you. In Spokane County, crews are out prepping for the snow now. They put down sand and de-icer this afternoon. When the heavy snow starts to fall, they will switch from de-icing to plowing emergency routes and also arterials. So at least one city in our area has said it would start towing parked cars that are in the way of plows. Over the weekend, the city of Sandpoint issued a warning for drivers, giving them just over 2 days to move their stuck and buried cars.
So it's not clear how many cars were towed today. Some cities in our area tow to make way for plows, while others do not. Taylor Vito has more on this tonight.
You've seen it before, cars like this that are just buried under a heap of snow and don't seem to be getting out anytime soon. But if they are blocking snow removal, can they be towed? It may take a while to get unburied, that's for sure, but it seems that most of the cities in our area do have laws relating to towing and snow removal. But how often does that happen? That's harder to tell. First off, in Spokane, towing problem cars and snow routes is nothing new. We've seen it in Brown's Edition before. And downtown, the signs make it clear. No parking between midnight and 6 a.m. during snow events. That allows crews to clear more snow and clear parking spaces. Streets in Brown's Edition are notably more narrow, too. The city says online that failing to comply may result in a ticket or a towed car. How common is that? A city spokesperson didn't get back to me today after I reached out with that question, but the city has stated before that it's emphasizing communication with people during snow events. Elsewhere in the inland Northwest, towing seems less common. In Spokane Valley, city leaders there tell us they don't have a tow policy and will plow around cars. Why? Their streets are just wide enough. Further east in Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene, city and police officials there tell me there are codes in place to tow problem cars during snow removal, but it's rare for that to happen. Police in both cities said they couldn't remember the last time it happened. That may change in Coeur d'Alene, though. Police will start tagging snow-bermed cars tonight and will begin towing on Friday. But to the north, Sandpoint appeared to be taking a more firm stance. On Saturday, the city asked people to move cars that were buried in on the odd side of the street by today, or they'd possibly be towed. It's not clear if that happened today or if city officials plan to stick to their word. Officials in Sandpoint didn't get back to me when I asked them that. Across the inland Northwest, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
Well, we put out a call to all of you on Facebook today asking who had the biggest icicles on their homes, and dozens of you sent in photos of just massive icicles hanging off your roof.
With all of the melting and the refreezing, some of them nearly touch the ground by now. And they're fun to look at. They're beautiful, but they also can be dangerous.
Yeah, the ice collecting in your gutters could cause some damage to your roof or your shingles. Our Shana Waldtower spoke to a local roofing expert and learned what you can do to prevent some costly repairs.
They're everywhere, these spearheaded pieces of ice hanging from roofs. With all of the snow and cold weather, these icicles just keep getting longer and longer, and the ice dams in your gutters are only expanding. So you have to wonder if this is causing any damage to your roof. I spoke with Tom Galloway with Galloway Roofing in Spokane. He says the biggest concern with icicles isn't for your roof, but for the people walking beneath them. The ice can grow to be pretty heavy and can cause some serious injuries if it falls on someone. Now, as for the dams, which is the ice collecting above your gutters, Galloway says they typically don't cause any damage. He says the problem is when you start trying to remove them. Scraping, shoveling, chiseling at ice dams can damage the gutters and cause them to separate from their fasteners.
So you've got all this information. Well, what exactly can you use to help get rid of some of this ice? Well, our roofing expert says you have a couple of options. One of them are the ice melts. They're little tablets that you throw on top of your roof, and then it helps melt some of that ice down and gets it off of the ice dams. Now, another option here is a bit more of an unconventional one. It's usually for your plants, but he says fertilizer could also be a milder option for your roof. He says it takes a little bit longer for it actually to melt some of the ice, but it could cause less damage to your roof. Okay, so for our first option, we have the fertilizer, and Mr. Galloway says that you take this and you sprinkle about a handful about every 2 feet across the icy areas near your gutter. This should work pretty well, again, in helping to make sure there's no severe damage to your roof. Now then, there's also the option of the ice melts. They come in these little tablets, and all you do is take them and toss them up onto your roof.
Now, with the fertilizer, Galloway says it could take a couple of weeks for it to work, but to just give it some time. He says by using the fertilizer, you're also lessening the chance of damaging your plants as it melts and falls to the ground. Shana Waldtower, KREM 2 News.
Good to know. All right, in other news, the case against a Colorado man accused of killing the mother of his child is moving forward. Today, a judge ruled the prosecution does have enough evidence to try Patrick Frazee with the murder of his fiancée, Kelsey Barrett. Barrett was last seen on Thanksgiving Day. Her body has not been found. Authorities do believe she was killed. KREM 2's Alexa Block has the latest on what a key witness told investigators about Frazee's involvement with his fiancee's disappearance. Alexa?
An Idaho nurse named Crystal Lee Kenny already pleaded guilty to tampering with Barrett's cell phone after she went missing. We learned today Kenny admitted to investigators she had a romantic relationship with Frazee, and he asked her to poison a drink and give it to Barrett, and he said he tried to get her to kill her on 2 other occasions. But eventually, according to Kenny, Frazee decided to do it himself. She told police Frazee called her on Thanksgiving and told her to go to Barrett's condo and clean up. She described the scene as horrific. She said she spent hours cleaning, but purposely left behind blood evidence. Authorities say they found evidence of blood in Barrett's bathroom. Kenny said Frazee admitted to her that he beat Barrett with a bat and put her body in a plastic container and then went to eat Thanksgiving dinner. He eventually lit it on fire and cleaned up the remains, according to what Kenny told investigators. Now, a possible motive, according to Barrett's mother, could be custody of their child. Authorities say the couple was going to split up. As part of their plea deal, Kenny says that she has agreed to testify against Frazee, and he is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. His arraignment is set for April. In the newsroom tonight, Alexa Block, KREM 2 News.
Alexa, thank you very much. Well, body cameras capture some of the most intense moments of policing, and the Spokane Police Department has been among the first police agencies in the state to start using them. They now have 234 body cameras in use daily. And with that many cameras, the amount of video they are storing quickly adds up. And storing all that video is not cheap. In fact, the city pays roughly $300,000 a year just to store and access the video. So coming up new at 6 tonight, I investigate the high costs of